Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Supernatural, The Thing. And, I don't know, I liked this episode, but at the same time, I felt that something was off with it. And I think it mainly had to deal with the execution of Asmodeus and Ketch's scenes. And that how they were executed and the time they took up with it detracted from some of the other things going on in the episode. So, this episode starts off, and we see that there's this ritual going on in 1925 in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. And we see these guys chanting and everything. We see this woman strapped to a table, and they're using this glowing thing. And even before, they're getting into it, I'm like, oh, this looks like it's probably dealing with something with probably opening a rift or whatnot. And what happens? Yeah, a rift comes out and a tentacle comes out. I was like, okay, intriguing. We'll have to see how this goes. So, we then get to Sam and Dean, and this was pretty good, just showing kind of where the brothers are at. Dean just frickin' messing with Sam, putting all these things on his back and all that. I was like, well, talking about how he's found some information on the Seal of Solomon, that he wanted it found, and then it was like a jewel of the cosmos kind of thing. It's like, oh, okay. I'm thinking maybe it'd be like a meteorite or something like that, some kind of weird thing. So I'm like, okay, let's kind of go on for it. So they start looking around and going through the archives. Of course, Dean hates all the research, but they're able to find out these chapter houses for the Men of Letters, because they only had a bunker, but they had a lot of different kind of chapter houses and safe houses. And they find that they had one that had a reference for the Seal of Solomon that was found in, not the seal exactly, but treasures from Solomon were found in Israel in 1917. Lines up around the same thing, and they figure it's at this one in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. So they go off and buzzy their way all up there. And they get in, and it's kind of weird. They've got all these kind of symbols going around and all that, and this is kind of creepy and weird, but they're looking around. Sam is able to find it. And like, oh, okay. This should work out pretty well. And then they start hearing someone calling for help. They go in and they see the same woman, Sandy, eerily the same age and everything. She looks the same. And she calls for help and asks them to help her. And I'm like, okay, cool, yeah. They take her on up and everything. And take her to a diner, and they're trying to lay out everything, the usual kind of spiel about what they usually deal with, and they're trying to acclimate her to the reality of what the world is like nowadays, and they're just doing the usual kind of thing, usual kind of monster of the week thing, which was pretty interesting because they get into it, and we see one of the people works there at the diner, and calls up and says, yeah, we kind of have a problem here, and he starts coming up with some plans and everything. So, of course, Sandy feels kind of weird. She goes off. We see that the guy in the back, Marco, has messed with the food. Sam kind of passes out, and that's when, all these cultist people descend upon the diner. And we get a pretty good fight scene with Dean. He doesn't really go deadly on him, but he has some really good fight scenes with these cultist people going around. Sam, of course, is incapacitated because he has drawn the unlucky straw this week, and he gets taken outside, and we're like, oh crap, they've got him. So, of course, Dean's readying up for war and everything, and Sandy's just trying to figure out what's kind of going on. But as Dean's getting ready for everything and kind of all these kind of possibilities, we get Sam talking to Marco and his sister, and we find out that their grandfather was the one that did this, and that he was crazy after he came back from World War I and wanted to look for other gods to cleanse this world. And he was looking to the god Yokhoth and her mate and all that kind of stuff, and they'd offered up Sandy either as a sacrifice or for a body, but we find out that Yokhoth is inside Sandy's body, and that they wanted her chained up down there and weak, but if she gets food in her belly, she gets stronger. their main objectives are to eat and to breed. Very Lovecraftian and kind of messes with what we thought of as the Lovecraftian horrors. Because in season 7 we dealt with whole Leviathans and all that, and that was used kind of for the basis, and then they're using these kind of creatures, which I liked more. It was just like, okay, kind of discrepancy, but I kind of like that this thing's going on better than actually dealing with a Lovecraft kind of thing. And, of course, while that's going on, one dude is sent out to check on what's going on outside, and promptly gets eaten by Sandy. Which, I like the effects that they were going for on this. It didn't really look teensy or cheesy when she spat out a tentacle, grabbed onto his face, and pretty much sucked him dry, mummy style. Because she took out all the rest of the cultists and everything. And, which they aren't really cultists at this point, they're more of a protector guard, because like, this dude's crazy, we've got a frickin' elder god kind of situation going on here, we need to keep that contained. But of course, Dean comes out at one point, like, what the hell's going on? And then, of course, Sandy takes him. It's like, okay, I doubt she ate him, so they go around and they're like, listen, they breed and feed, so if she ain't feeding, she wants to breed. It's like, okay. And we get into it, and we find that she's getting everything set up. She wants to call forth her mate because her mate was not brought through with her, and she's lonely, and she likes Dean's face, and I'm like, yep, saw that one coming. And she's pretty much just laying down her plan. They're starving in their universe. It's all kind of dark and dead, but this is so full of light and life, and they want to eat and breed. It's like, yep, that works. That's a good check thing and everything. So she pretty much gets everything pretty much set up pretty quickly and everything. Has the Seal of Solomon rock and everything, and pretty much opens it up. He's like, oh god, having to dodge all the tentacles and stuff, and I was expecting more like tentacle porn, hentai kind of jokes and everything, because, I mean, come on, you got tentacles. A little bit of a missed opportunity, but not really. And, of course, Sam and the rest of them come on in and are able to fix the whole situation. They're able to distract her enough that they kind of do the counter spell to kind of close the gate, and as it's closing, the mate grabs Yokoth and takes her up, and I'm like, well, that's kind of a happy ending for everybody involved. Dean doesn't get forcibly taken over by an elder god, and Yokoth goes back to her mate, and they can't open another doorway, at least at the moment, in that kind of way. But that's a kind of big bad that hopefully could be used later on. That could be interesting. So, they're all set up. They give the Seal of Solomon to them so that way they can use it for their own ends, and they've well, I don't know why they would need it anymore, because they don't need to figure out if they need to send back Yokoth or anything. They're kind of set free, and I'm like, yeah, alright, that's kind of cool. So, that's kind of where there's kind of ends. We did also get a pretty cool part where Dean in the bunker was saying jinkies and all that. I like that callback to the Scooby-Doo thing where Sam's like, that was kind of weird. And we just kind of have to move on. But then, of course, they get back to the bunker, and then that's where it kind of heads up with the kind of B storyline. Which really wasn't that good. The main payoff was what happened at the end. We essentially get Ketch going to Asmodeus. He said he was called, and he was pretty much told to wait. Then, of course, we see Asmodeus kind of messing with Gabriel and all that, and then Ketch just kind of is able to sneak past, and we see Asmodeus pumping himself full of Archangel Grace. Now, granted, we don't really have an idea of what that would do to a Prince of Hell, but I'm going to say not good things. But we still also don't know what that has for his plans. Of course, we see that he kind of makes Ketch completely wait, and then brings him in and tells him that he owns Ketch. He can do whatever he wants, and, well, Ketch can't do whatever he wants. Asmodeus can do whatever he wants. And that in hell you spread the pain around and everything, as he's like beating the crap out of him after he's been pumped up on Archangel Grace, and pretty much telling him that he can't be redeemed, even though he sees it in his eyes. And I'm like, okay, well, Ketch sees that you're doing crazy stuff. Brings up the whole Winchester thing, and that Ketch didn't tell him about the information. But I'm like, listen, you got a contract thing with this dude. You don't have really that much leverage on him except that you can kill him. And he's already survived that once. And that's the whole thing. You're not paying him to tell you everything. Like, yeah, I knew it, but it's like, I'm the big picture guy. Pretty much as certain as dominance. I'm like, okay, but you're pretty much just pushing him towards making a interesting move. He's pretty much beaten down, and Asmodeus pretty much goes on away, and he gets the idea to be like, okay, let's take Gabriel, let's take the Archangel Blade, and Spamoose. And they do. So I was like, alright. See, I don't know what they want to do with Asmodeus or Ketch, really. I don't think that there's an overall plan for him. Ketch, he's interesting as either a cold-blooded killer or a cold-blooded killer that wants to be reformed. At the moment, I don't know which one rings more true. We see that he kind of just does not want Asmodeus to get whatever he wants now since he's been screwed over contract-wise, which I hope they keep building towards that, because he takes Gabriel, and when the Winchesters come back, they're like, oh, okay. And it's funny, because he brings in Gabriel and he's like, listen, he was in Asmodeus' here. He's using Archangel Grace, but of course I know you guys need that. And Gabriel's freaking out. I was like, no more. But we see that Ketch pulls out a vial of Archangel Grace, puts it down. Sam, of course, doesn't want to trust him. Dean, however, goes, okay, that's fine. That's cool. And it's like, okay. It's the flip-flopping of which brother decides to be the more reasonable one is just kind of weird. It's almost more what's under the plot demands, but I'd understand that Dean's like, okay, we've got everything we need right now. Let's go do it, which, incidentally, he then puts up with. We see Sam cutting off the sewings of Gabriel's mouth to try and get what's going on with him. Because he's in the same vessel that he was in this universe. So it's got to be the same Gabriel, because other universes have different vessels and all that. So we'll have to kind of see what goes on with that. He's like, all right, let's do this right now. We got 24 hours as per what was told to them by the cultists for this portal. And he goes, listen, I'm going in, you're staying here, which makes sense because you need something from that place that you're going for, as per the instructions, and that he's taking Ketch with him. And of course, Ketch wants to be out of this earth because Asmodeus is going to hunt him down. Makes sense, but Apocalypse World, I kind of wouldn't. I'd probably it's almost a toss-up between the Elder Gods universe and that one. I mean, you'd probably be eaten and killed quicker in the Elder Gods universe. So that would kind of be preferable, but we'll see how Ketch reacts to it. But I'm like, Dean, what about Cass? What's going on with Jack and Mary? I wish that before this had happened, it feels like the pacing's weird on certain things because we've been gone off of Jack and Mary too much. We're like, okay, you're going to have a whole universe to try and scour to figure out what's going on with that. And that would have been interesting to actually look into, because what if Jack had taken out Michael and the rest of them at that point? I don't know. I just wish with the hiatuses and all that it had been kind of clear what's going on there. But Dean and Ketch open up the portal and go on through. But of course we see in a preview that Cass does comment on the whole thing. We're like, yep, that's Dean. Going off and doing it on his own, kind of half-cocked. But I liked that this was like a Monster of the Week that advanced the plot. I liked that it was tied into kind of Lovecraftian stuff, because that's pretty cool to more fully bring into this universe, especially with where they're going with the multiverse and all that. But I felt that the B plot was mainly only used to get to a certain end and get us to this end of Dean and Ketch getting to the Apocalypse World, and really needed to be retold to do it better. So, those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.